All right, today we're diving into a really simple but honestly a pretty powerful story that might just change how you start your day. It's all about a man named Jerry, and it teaches a lesson about the one thing in life that you, and only you, have total control over.
Just think about that for a second. What if your mood isn't something that just happens to you, like the weather, but something you actually decide on? Well, that's the big idea we're going to unpack, and it all revolves around this one truly unforgettable person.
And this is our guy. Meet Jerry. This was his go-to answer every single time someone asked him how he was doing. Not, I'm good, not fine, but this explosion of positivity. And it wasn't just a clever line, it was who he was. So, let's start with who Jerry actually was, okay? So on paper, he was a restaurant manager, but in reality, he was kind of like a force of nature. People were just drawn to his energy, you know?
And what's so wild is how consistent he was. I mean, this wasn't some act he put on for customers. He was genuinely 100% a natural motivator. If one of his staff was having a bad day, Jerry was right there, not just saying, "Oh, that's too bad," but actively helping them find a better way to look at the situation.
And get this is the real proof of his impact. Think about it. How many bosses do you know who inspire that kind of loyalty? People weren't just following a manager to a new job, they were following a leader whose positivity actually made their own lives better. It's incredible.
So you have to wonder, right? How? How could anyone be that positive all the time? Well, the person telling this story was wondering the exact same thing. So one day, he just walked right up to Jerry and asked him point blank.
And there it is, the big secret. It wasn't some kind of magic formula, it was a decision. A simple, conscious choice he made before the day even got started. He literally chose his mood the same way you or I might choose what shirt to wear. And this whole philosophy, it went way beyond just his mood in the morning. It was built on these three core choices. First, his mood. Second, his reaction. When something bad happened, he could play the victim or he could learn something. And third, how he engaged with others. When someone complained, he could let it drag him down or he could try to lift them up. Every single time, he chose the positive path.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Come on, it can't be that simple. And that's the natural reaction, right? But Jerry's response to that was so direct. He believed that when you strip away all the drama, life is just a series of choices. You choose how you react, you choose what you focus on.
But, you know, it's one thing to have a positive philosophy when things are going okay. It's another thing entirely when that philosophy is put to the most extreme test you can possibly imagine.
And that test, it all started with a simple, everyday mistake. A moment of forgetfulness at his restaurant that would completely change his life.
Because of that one open door, Jerry found himself face to face with three armed robbers. A terrifying, life-altering event was suddenly in motion.
The robbers forced him to open the safe. But under that kind of pressure, with his hands shaking from pure nerves, he fumbled the combination. In their panic, their reaction was just brutal and senseless. They shot Jerry, and they left him there.
He was found, thankfully, and rushed to the hospital. He had to endure a grueling 18 hours of surgery. He survived, but just barely.
And this is what's just absolutely mind-blowing. Even in that moment, bleeding on the floor, his philosophy kicked in. He realized he was at the ultimate choice point, and, true to who he was, he made his choice.
But the fight was so far from over. When he finally arrived at the hospital, he could see the look on the faces of the medical staff. It was a look of, well, grim certainty. He knew what they were thinking. He could feel that they didn't think he was going to make it. And he knew, right then and there, he had to do something to change the energy in that room. In the middle of all that chaos, a nurse shouted a pretty standard, routine question at him. But for Jerry, it wasn't just a question, it was an opportunity.
He managed to say yes. The whole medical team kind of stopped, waiting for a serious answer, like penicillin.
He took a deep breath and then yelled out, "Bullets!" And apparently the whole room just burst out laughing. And in that moment, he told them, "I am choosing to live. Operate on me as if I am alive, not dead."
Jerry did survive, thanks to those amazing doctors and, of course, his own unbelievable force of will. And his story, man, it leads us with this profound lesson about the single most powerful tool that every single one of us has. This really is the heart of it all. Think about it. Your job, your money, your possessions, even relationships. All of that can be influenced or even taken away by things outside of your control. But your attitude, that is 100% yours. It's the one thing that no one can ever take from you. And that's the big takeaway from Jerry's life. See, taking care of your attitude isn't about ignoring reality or pretending bad things don't exist. It's about choosing the most constructive, the most empowering response to that reality. And when you can do that, everything else just seems to fall into place a little bit easier.
So as you go on with your day, this is the real question to carry with you. Jerry made his choice every single morning, and he even made it while lying on the floor of his restaurant. So now, the choice is yours.